Well, hi, I'm Vivianne Buller, and I was National Chair from 2003 until 2004. I was introduced to LACA through my membership of the National Association of School Meals Organisers, and I actually worked I can say I worked with Hilary. Hilary was the head of service at Cambridge, and I was one of the senior operations manager in Suffolk. So we met regularly within the East Anglian region. We were very active, and we were extremely annoyed at this idea that the HMI were going to sort of do something to us. And that was when I knew the LACA thing was coming along, but at that point at which that was all happening, I got this wonderful opportunity to become the head of catering services for Newcastle City Council. They were wanting to reintroduce national nutritional standards, and they wanted someone who had a little more of a commercial background, and we'd been doing contracting out during my Suffolk days. So I was a perfect fit. LACA it was there because when I first arrived in the North East, I met all the National Association of School Meals Organiser people like Godfrey Headley, and who was head of service in North Tyneside, and subsequently became a National Council member for many years, representing Scotland in the North East. And so that's how I met them, and I think what happened was I missed the first meeting, which I think was to talk about NASMO becoming, or LACA coming into the North East and Scotland. And they came to see me, and I said, well, how did it go? They said, well, we've made a decision. I said, what's that? Well, we've decided you can be the first chair of the new LACA organisation. Neville Richards had been chair of NASMO for a while, but I think he'd retired. And so that's how I kind of fell into it. And I had glorious years chairing North East and Scotland. It was absolutely fantastic. I think as part of my development as a leader, the management roles I had were helping me to do that. But this was in addition, and to actually be having a leadership role where you're not actually totally responsible for what people are doing. You're actually leading people in a voluntary way. And I think that's incredibly good for your development, because if leadership is just simply telling people to do things, it certainly wasn't my style. And it was about engaging all my colleagues to work with each other. I learned such a lot from people. I mean, when I think of some of the fabulous things we did, like the big events, that Anita Brown, she was fantastic. She, as you know, she's fantastic at doing what she's doing as our new regional chair. But way back then, I saw that incredible potential, and we had just wonderful time in the region, and you could see that people wanted to work together. I learned a lot from it, because if I got things that I wasn't sure about, I could then quietly go to fellow colleagues in other authorities and say, I've got this idea, does it sound mad? Do you think this would work? What do you think of it? And I thought it was fabulous, because it was like a sounding board for new ideas, and it was good for me. Northumberland, of course, thought it was fantastic. My chief executive and my own director very much into the idea that senior officers should be doing over and above their day-to-day work. It was about giving back to whatever community thing it was, or giving back through your professional association. So it fitted in beautifully with their ethos. I think during 2003-04 was when the Soil Association report came out, and it really started to highlight what was happening in school catering. And we know that there were then huge disparity because the different standards, there was no nutritional standards, and there was such a lot of press around that. That was the most challenging part of it, because I needed to be honest and say we do have a problem here, because we don't have agreed standards. It's all over the place. But equally, I've got thousands and thousands of school dinner ladies out there who were deeply, deeply upset and mortified by some of the outrageous things that were being said. So it was rather like skating on ice. It was about engaging and asking us as professionals to really challenge ourselves. You know, none of us are perfect, and if there's something that we're doing, then we need to come together. And I think that I think at the time, and I'm still on the internet, from the comments that I made about the billions of pounds of money that the education service and schools were taking out of school catering. And I wasn't the least bit surprised that some of the standards had fallen. And I still haven't been forgiven by the NUT. Don't put that in. I still haven't been forgiven by some of the some of the teaching profession. I think Northumberland had to do a sharp intake of breath when I did that, because the Director of Education was going, "She can't say that." I think that at a regional level, I remember one of our big events for frontline school catering staff was when we had Heather Mills come to talk us about her experiences of being, about landmines. And at that point in time, she was just starting. It had become public that she was dating Paul McCartney. So I had 500 school dinner ladies wanting to ask the question, and I was having to say, we can't ask anything about her personal life. We just have to stick. But it was a wonderful moment when she talked about her real belief in how we should deal with landmines. And I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. So there was hundreds of meetings that we had that were really meaningful, but that's at a local level. I think for me, it was the bravery of colleagues right at the beginning, Hilary Witt and co, who really forced through the idea of LACA. So I think the idea that we could, as NASMA, we could have disappeared, but we didn't. We've come back. We're LACA. I think that was really important. The other thing I think is really important is about nutritional standards, the fact that we influenced that. And I think what I'd like to say is that thinking about the loss of the school food trust, LACA has really stepped into that role. And I think that's what really excites me for the future.